Welcome to In the Game podcast with Cody Thomas. Today I got special guest Steve Helton on board. Coach Helton has been coaching basketball for a long time here in Kentucky, and he's going to drop some knowledge on us about some of his past players, his teams, and what he looks forward to this season. Hey, Coach, how you doing on this Sunday afternoon?
It's a beautiful Sunday. Games are on. A little rain outside, but we've been blessed for another day.
Have you got to check out the NCAA tournament a lot?
We actually did one of those poll or one of those brackets at work. So I'm keeping a pretty close eye on it right now, making sure there's no huge upsets. We're having some fun with it though.
Yeah, I didn't even fill out a bracket this year, Coach Helton. Just skipped it. Just skipped it. I'm on this high school, this transfer portal taking up all my time. So I may sneak in a college game here and there, but yeah, I'm watching this transfer portal pops off tomorrow. So busy day. Things are going on. Coaching changes in the NCAA. Speaking about the transfer portal, last year it was 45 days. This year it's 30 days. They shortened it so head coaches aren't scrambling if they're in the tournament, and some coaches are going to get canned. And it's also transfer portal started the day after selection Sunday, but it's actually moved a week back, and they shortened it to 30 days as well because the first evaluation period is May 16th through the 18th. So they want to make sure coaches are being able to recruit these high school kids and other kids instead of the JUCOs and the transfers. But Coach Helton, tell us how long you've been coaching high school basketball.
I just completed my 28th year in high school. I was an assistant for 3 years with Coach Hicks when we first moved up here in '98. Been a head coach for the past 25 years and kind of excited to see what's next.
What are some of your best memories coaching basketball here in Kentucky?
I think it goes back to the relationships with kids. We've had an incredible run. When Scott County was one high school, year in and year out, we were blessed to be. We were competitive, highly competitive. We've been so blessed with a community that supported athletics. It has changed with the split and great crossings coming along. So it's definitely a little different here in town. But obviously, the kids that we've had come through the program, '98 as an assistant, I was blessed to be with Coach Hicks, and we won state that year. A few years later, 2007, Scott County had their second Miss Basketball, which was Rebecca Gray, who signed with University of North Carolina, which, if you've watched a lot of what we do is Carolina-based, so we were excited there. But that was a run where we had two Gatorade Players of the Year back-to-back with Chelsea Lyman in '06 and then Rebecca in '07. 2010, we were state runner-up at Louisville Mercy. Mark Evans, which is a great friend, they got us in the championship game. So, and that's a lot of the, you think about high school basketball and the championships but more importantly, it comes down to the kids that we still stay in contact with. Right now, Morgan DeFore just finished up at Simmons College. I think she's got one more year. I think Malaya Williams, who played at Florida State, they won, and I think they're still, as the last I checked, they're still playing in the NCAA tournament. So, and you stay in touch with those kids. We've had players come back and be coaches with us, and now we've even had a couple kids who we've coached their kids. So it's definitely it goes back to relationships with those kids, and I love what I do. Tara and I get to do it together, and now we have a son, and it's just a family thing.
Speaking, you come to Kentucky in '98. How has the high school game changed from '98 to today's game?
I don't know if the game's changing as much as I think the way people view it. The running joke is I used to coach with fire and brimstone, and I'm getting old and soft now. But I really think the game itself has not changed. I think social media has played a big part in how it's perceived. A lot of things that was going on then, and now social media has for some of it has changed it for the good, and for some of it, it's allowed people to have a little bit bigger voice. And I always say it creates a lot more noise sometimes outside the locker room. But kids are kids. Kids are going to do the best they can. Kids want to win. Coaches want to win, and everybody's got their own philosophies. Coaching is about those relationships with those kids. It's about helping them deal with real life, real world situations. Hopefully, when they get done, they'll be ready for that next step. Which not everybody's going to college to play basketball or baseball or football. There's some kids that are going to college and they're getting ready for the workforce, and they need to know how to handle it. And hopefully, through athletics, some of those lessons they've learned will prepare them for the future.
You have coached girls basketball and boys basketball. Tell our viewers, what's the difference as far as athleticism? What's the big difference, Coach Helton?
I'm going to be honest with you. A lot of our girls teams are, have been extremely athletic. We've had some of the best guards in the country. We've had some of the best bigs in the country. We've had size. We've had quickness. The biggest thing that I've dealt with so far is, to be quite honest, a lot of those relationships. Those girls, they want to please. They want to do the best they can day in and day out. And, guys are the same way. It's just sometimes guys, most guys already feel like they can play. You'll see it day in, day out in the hallways. When a girl or a female comes out, usually they've played some, and they'll admit it. Usually a guy who's never touched the ball, they'll come out and for open gym and they'll think they've been, in the developmental league for the NBA. So it's a little bit different, but athleticism. And I tell kids, and I tell people this, the game is played below the rim. There is in the guys' world this year, there obviously plays above the rim, but for the most part, the game's played below the rim. And, it's all about skill development. It's all about, getting those kids in the positions to be successful, whether it's boy or girl. So it's definitely, I did see a difference this year. Our guys, they were a little more, I don't want to say predetermined what they were going to do, but they were a little bit more, when we were changing philosophies, they were a little bit more opposed to some of the philosophies that we had tried to bring in. And whereas with the girls, again, we've been there for 24 years with girls, so they kind of knew what to expect. But kids are kids. Parents are parents, no matter if it's boys or girls or what you're coaching. Your number one focus has got to be about the kids.
So your main objective for the beginning of the year, you're bringing in a new system. What do you look at or look to see for progress in your guys?
It's all about buy-in. You've got to get buy-in from day one. And it's not coming in saying this is what we're going to do. It's coming in with hey, here's how we're going to allow for you to have success, a way for you to be put in positions to be successful. We're the offense that we play, or the offensive philosophy that we have is there's a lot of freedom. Some people don't like that much freedom. Some people may even call it a little bit out of control, but we like to give our kids freedom. We want 75 to 80 shots a game. That's a lot of shots in high school basketball. And defensively, we're coming in again. Man to man is all I know. Man to man is all that I've played as a player, playing for Coach X and then in college. However, I have it's all about, Pat had something talked about, you surround yourself with people that are better than you are. And I have brought in assistants that have a little bit more of a zone background. So I have not ventured away from our man-to-man, because that's our bread and butter. But we will see a little bit more zone from our teams than we have in the past. Coach X was so good to me, and I had the opportunity to play for him, and he believed in up tempo. Signed with Alice Lloyd, with the stepbrother, Jim and Joe Stepp, and probably two of the greatest offensive-minded coaches that I've ever been around. It was about scoring. Our team, Alice Lloyd, 91 or 90, our 92, 93 team went to the national tournament that year, and we were extremely talented with kids who could flat out fill it up. Transferred from there and went to Sue Bennett and played for Phil Cunningham, who just got named Louisiana Monroe's head coach. And again, he's, I've always said Coach Cunningham, and we've stayed in touch, the absolute best X and O coach I've ever been around. It's incredible. And to see where he is now, I'm so happy for him. Then after my second knee injury, I got to play for Brian Evans, or I got to coach with Brian Evans at Union College, where, again, he kind of brought it all together. He brought a little more zone philosophy in with it. And so I've been blessed to play and coach with some really talented coaches. And, then you kind of add that in with the old Carolina system and, even some of the Nolan Richardson system when he was at Arkansas. So, very blessed, but you got to have kids buy into it, and that's where it goes back to. The kids have to buy into it. We work hard every day with skill development. I'm not a big, let's just come in and scrimmage for 2 hours. We work on skill development to get those kids ready for those game time, those game opportunities when they'll have the chance to make that play in a game.
So, talking about your system, you would rather instill a system like that instead of looking for a system that fits your kids or your players. What's the philosophy behind that?
Well, I mean, honestly, you've got to be a coach in those situations. We've had teams in the past that we used to call it the old run and gun, who just physically were not in the position to play that style. And I think high school, that's where high school coaches, they have to be willing to adapt, and definitely over the years we have adapted. We've not changed our philosophy, but we have adapted to that. We heard Gino speak down in Tunica, Mississippi one year, and he was telling the story about he was running all the offenses and he was running all his sets, and people were writing down every word he said, and his greatest quote was, I'll clean it up. But he said, basically, guys, he said, none of this is going to work unless you have a Diana Taurasi on your team. And everybody kind of stopped and looked at him. And, what he said meant a lot, because, sometimes it's not about the X's and O's. It's actually, as the old saying, the Jimmy and Joes. I've heard the old saying, sometimes they'll say, there comes a time when you got to have him plays, and you look at it and say, what do you mean him? And it means when the time is right and you need a basket, get the ball to him. And, I think that's where, as a coach, you've got to know your team. Absolutely. We don't change our philosophy every year. However, you have to be willing to tweak it. But again, in the land of the transfer portal, maybe you just go out and get what you need and you just keep on running what you run.
Yeah, it's just like a lottery for these college coaches. They can put in what they want and they'll just list them. But for people that don't know about coaching, you're in one of the toughest regions this year in Kentucky high school basketball, probably the first or second toughest region. How do you go about scouting other teams and preparing for those other teams that you're going to face night in and night out?
So our district, we play in the 42nd district. And at one point this year, we had 4 of the top 5 teams in our region were in our district. And then you throw the team in that's, about a mile and a half from our school, Great Crossing, who was, 1 or 2 all season long. We struggled this year. I've made no secret about that. However, we did improve. Our schedule just didn't allow everybody to see it. Sayre had one of the best teams they've had in years. They were a front line of 6'7", 6'6". They had, Brock Kaufman going to Louisville for football. One of the best teams that he has had there, Coach Gooden, and the job he does. And they were the playing game with us. And that tells you, because they had, the regional runner-up, they had them, Frederick Douglass, down at halftime at one point. Our district was just absolutely difficult this year. Henry Clay, Bryan Station, and Frederick Douglass. And, that right there is 8 games of our season. And then we were blessed enough to get to play Douglass 3 times because we won a game in a tournament. And there was and Douglass had gotten beaten by Great Crossing. So it was yay for us. We get to play them again. But you can look at it 2 ways. You can look at it as, it's extremely difficult. What are we going to do? Or you can look at it as the only way we're going to get better is playing good competition. And it was no fun. It was very difficult keeping our kids' morale. When we're getting beaten 20 and 30 a game by our district, and then it's difficult. But these teams could play. These teams were validated in the state all year long. Great Crossing is one of those teams that you read about and we'll read about someday because they have all the pieces. Coach Page and his staff, they have a 7-footer going to UK. They have a guard going to Morehead State with Vince Dawson. And then, they have talent around those kids. So it's just not a 2-man show. They have a lot of talent from LJ to Gage to, that entire roster is talented. And so it's definitely been tough. We compared it to the SEC this year because SEC this year in basketball and football and softball and baseball is extremely difficult and extremely tough. And that's kind of where the 11th region was this year. The top half of the 11th region was extremely talented. And, the Great Crossings will represent our region. And I really feel that they have a chance to win a state championship.
Yeah, they're definitely one of my favorites. But I think there's 3 or 4 teams that, definitely deserve to be in the Sweet 16. But the way the KHSSA rolls, only 1 team per region. So sometimes these other regions may have weaker teams make the Sweet 16. But that's just the luck of the draw. That's what you got to do. But you said something about keeping your players' morale up. When you're going in to play Malachi Marino, 7-footer, Vince Dawson, LJ Holman, how do you keep your kids with their head up, Coach?
I think you're realistic with them. I don't think you come in saying we're going to do this and we're going to do this and we're going to shut them down. You're not going to shut them down. We weren't with our roster, and I think that's where when we give them that much freedom, we allow them. Hey, when you're open, we expect you to shoot the ball. We allow you to get up and down. We allow you a lot of freedom on defense. And the problem with, when you play a Great Crossing, the Frederick Douglass, you've got to continually score with them. And, we had a couple quarters, with Douglass, with Bryan Station, Henry Clay, Sayre, and even Great Crossing. First quarter we came out and our kids kind of settled in and we were okay. And then, depth kind of caught up to us. But I don't think it's a situation where you lose your mind when they go on a run. I wasn't I'm not a huge timeout coach because I'm a little hard-headed because I think that kind of gives the other team they made you call a timeout. So sometimes I probably should have called timeout and I didn't. But definitely it's not the philosophy of dwelling on the past. We would always say, you got to play the next play. If Malachi, if we missed the rotation and, he tore the rim off on a dunk, play the next play. If we missed a shot, play the next play. And I think that was huge with us. Now, it's tough walking in that locker room and knowing what just happened. But then again, that's also getting these kids ready for what's next. What we've told them, how will you handle if you don't get the job you want? How will you handle if Lord forbid, something happens, somewhere down the line, how will you handle adversity? And so we talked a lot about how to handle adversity, and then also how to handle success, because we had some games where we played well and got a couple wins, and you need to act like you've been there before, and a lot of our kids hadn't been. So it's all about a teaching moment, and in the heat of the moment. Now it's tough. It's I'm not going to kid with you. It's tough, but our kids overall, we tried to pick them up best we could. And next day at practice, we didn't talk a lot about it. We would watch film and get in the weight room and get ready for the next game.
Talk about watching film with your guys. What do you look for with your guys when you go over the game film?
A lot of what we did was quick. Early in my coaching years, we watched probably too much film. We watched every move that if we knew a player was going to spin on their third dribble, we would watch that over and over and over. But in our situation this year, our film was quick. Our film was more about just watch for this because putting a new system in, we really try to worry about us. We actually watched quite a bit of offensive film on us. How a lot of times we would stand and watch one person move or dribble, and the other four would stand and watch. So it was a little bit different this year. I gotten away from the hours and hours of film work because it was a situation where we were worrying about us, and I didn't want us totally to worry about our opponents. Our scouting reports were, I want to call watered down because again, it was just quick keys that we needed to focus on. With the days of huddle, years when I first started coaching, we used to go. I mean, we traveled, and I don't know how I guess we were a lot younger then. So we would practice, and then we would hit the road and get home at midnight and go back and go to work the next day. But it was definitely a lot different because you didn't have a push button film system. We're on huddle, and now you're a push button away from having almost any film you want. So the coaches spent more time watching film than the players did this year. And I would, if we had it to do over, I'd do the same thing. I'd rather the coaches be prepared and overloaded than the kids be overloaded, because I just want them to go play and just be aware of tendencies that we'll see.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about the huddle system and these other systems that's put in place. How has that changed the coaching dynamics these days? Does that weeding out like coaches that, let's just not say they're up to par, or is it actually helping those coaches that are not up to par to be a good coach?
I don't think that you can look at it both ways. We filmed practice quite a bit, and it was through huddle. But again, it would just be more for the player, for the coaches. And everyone's got their own philosophies. A lot of times coaches you'll talk to and their belief is, I'm going to worry about us, and what happens. Some coaches will have scout teams, and they will actually scout and run their opponent's offense for days preparing for it. And that's, a lot through film work. I think it depends on your coach. I think it depends on your team, because I think that goes back to knowing your team, knowing how much film they can handle, knowing how much preparation they can handle. Because when you're trying to put a new system in, you're trying to talk about what you can do for yourself, and then trying to worry about someone else at the same time, along with, a chemistry test coming up, or, ACT coming up, or whatever kind of test it is, or exam. Kids got a lot going on. And, when they leave the gym, I want them ready. I want them prepared mentally. I want them fresh. I don't want them to go home and watch hours and hours and film and think, oh no, what's next? But instead, just go home and have a little bit of downtime to get ready to play, because the game is mentally and physically draining. A season can be, and so definitely I do like huddle. Um, I do miss the days of going and scouting in person, because I feel like sometimes huddle, you miss some things, especially on the bench. I'm big. I watch what happens on the bench, and a lot of cameras are already pre-set up in our gym, so you don't get everything. But at the same time, that's a lot of gas mileage and a lot of wear and tear. And when you would go trade VHS tapes, and then you would dub a tape for another coach, and those days were fun. But the push button system, we use Huddle. I know there's a couple more systems out there that people use. It sure has made scouting a lot more easy. It's allowed, when college coaches or kids want to make their highlight videos, it sure does make things a lot easier for them.
Moving forward over to the Sweet 16, it starts on the 26th. And I just want to get our predictions. We got Ashland Blazer takes on Callaway County. I do know that Ashland has Xander Carter, Caleb Clark, Tyson Lavonde, all three college ball players. But they take on a tough Callaway County team that took down Marshall County with Eli Finley. Who do you like in that matchup, Coach?
It goes back to we were blessed to go, when we were with the girls, of course, when we were the boys in 98, everything was at Rupp. But in the girls, the 5 times that we got to go, we went from Western to Northern Kentucky, and then we finally got to play at Rupp. And when you walk on that floor for the state tournament, it's a special moment. And those kids from Ashland and Callaway County, it's going to be on top of just the normal game. The nerves are going to be there. So definitely Callaway County, I've kept up with them all year. They've got a couple of kids throwing out some huge numbers. But, I'm telling you, Ashland has been there. They've got a lot of experience. So they're going to be a hard out, especially in that first game of the tournament.
I hate to backtrack, but
well,
go ahead. But like when you first get to Rupp with your players, or Memorial Coliseum or Western, the floor is different. What do you do with your kids to keep them in, mental check? Hey, this is just basketball. I know it's a big moment, but we have to play ball.
In preparation coming up to those games, we would practice. Years ago, we would go to Memorial. We would go to Georgetown College because they were right here close to us. Transy opened their doors to us a couple years to get us used to at least that extra 10 foot on that college court. Lexington Catholic, they have a college court, so the court length does play a part as far as preparation goes. I love the big court. It gives you more room to spread your offense. But it does mess with you, especially if you're trying to throw that full court pass. A team that run and jumps, your rotations become a little bit longer with a bigger court. So I think number one is your preparation coming into that court. Nothing hardly is going to prepare you to walk on that court for the first time when the lights are there, especially Rupp, because every kid in Kentucky grows up dreaming about playing on that court. As a coach, it's an honor to walk on that court and know that the legends who have been on those sidelines. So I think that right there, you want the kids to enjoy it. You want the kids to have an incredible moment, and that goes for your parents. That goes for your coaches, because there's no given that you're going to be back ever again. And so I think keeping it all in check is key. Those kids are going to be enamored with that facility. But when they go out and they go through warm-ups and they understand, hey, this is another game for us, the nerves eventually do settle down. You do see some teams struggle shooting the ball with the background. The backdrop is a little bit different with the wide open space on those Hydra goals. But I don't think you make a huge deal about it. I think you talk about the preparation. And then I think you really talk about enjoying the moment with those kids and your community.
How much pressure is on the coaches and the kids when you make it to the Sweet 16, Coach?
There is no pressure. There is no pressure. The pressure, you got there. And definitely, and I say that jokingly, because when you you do get there, you're like, well, we're here. So, we got 4 games. We're in a 4-game season. I think you take every bit of pressure you can off those kids, and you put it every bit on yourself. And if you have a strong staff, they know the importance. But we want those kids. We want that community. We want them to remember that for the rest of their lives. So going into that game, yes, the nerves are going to be high enough, but there's no pressure as far as those kids to go play. If you're expecting to win a state championship, then hopefully you will go out and perform. And, if you don't, you're going to talk about, we did the best we could, and walk off there and walk off that court with your head held high. And someday, you'll come back and talk about what the experience you had, because those kids will bounce back a lot quicker than the adults will.
Well, moving on to the second matchup, you got Bowling Green, which has played their part in the Sweet 16 a lot here in the last decade. They take on Adair County, who snuck out of the 5th region. Adair County, I know, has Connor Loy and Isaiah Cochran. Who do you like in that matchup? Do you like Bowling Green with their experience, or Adair County coming in playing on house money pretty much?
Gosh, that's almost – this is where I'm going to ride the fence, because I'm going to tell you this could go either way. I've kept up with Adair County because they've been a little closer to home, and saw, they come out of, that 5th region was tough this year. There are some really talented teams. So obviously you're coming out of that region, you can play. And the same goes for Bowling Green. I mean, you're coming out of that region, those teams can flat out play. So I believe that's the morning game. That's the 11 a.m. game. That right there will be kind of a challenge. That's going to be a challenge, because playing that first game and that horn goes off, and when they introduce you to come on the court, that's where if it's quiet in there, especially, it comes down to a lot of execution on the floor. So I'm gonna ride the fence on there, and that one could be a daggone good game.
The next game in the bracket, we got South Oldham and Danville Christian. I have Danville Christian ranked as my 3rd favorite team to win the Sweet 16. Do you know much about those teams? Like, I've seen Danville Christian play a couple times, but I haven't got a chance to see South Oldham play this year.
Years ago, when Scott County was in the 8th region, we played South Oldham and Oldham County, and so there is a lot of tradition there. DCA, we've heard about them, not seen them. I've seen a few films on them with teams who we have been scouting, but South Oldham come out of a tough region. North Oldham was in the championship with them, and North Oldham was one of the better teams in the state this year. So between them, and I know DCA's got some size. That's what I've heard, that has given some teams a little bit more of a fit, because not everybody has a 7-footer or a 6'10", but definitely a very small school out of DCA, and then South Oldham with it was a big trip for them to go to Rupp. So I believe they've been 4 years ago. I believe it was their last trip to Rupp Arena. So there again, how will it be? It's, 2 teams not been there in a few years. And DCA, I'm sure that this is their first time. But hey, they also won the All A, so they are used to these big games. Them and the girls both won the All A, and them and the girls both went to state. So DCA has been used to these games, and could be interesting.
Well, the next matchup, 2 Louisville teams, Jeffersontown and St. X, which it's kind of ironic that these 2 Louisville teams play each other in the first round. It seems like that happens every year. Maybe it doesn't, but I've got St. X as number 1. But, I mean, you can take your pick on this one, Coach, but I think St. X is going to handily win this matchup and move forward.
I know there's the running conspiracy joke or the conspiracy theory about the 6th and the 7th region playing, but definitely from what I understand, St. X has been playing well all year. Obviously, they had a win over Great Crossings, and I don't know if anyone else who is really in Kentucky that I can recall has played them like that. So, J-Town, the incredible year, and they've made 3 out of the last 4. So definitely they got things going in the right directions. But I believe everyone's looking at St. X to come in and continue their streak.
Next matchup, we got North Laurel and Breathitt County. I got to see Breathitt County come out of the 14th region, They beat Powell County, and then they beat Hazard, which Hazard was ranked in the top 5 to 10 the whole year. But Breathitt has Austin Sperry, their point guard, 6'4", just committed to IU Indy. Special kid, athletic, competes, 3-level scorer. But his facilitating, coach, really is high level compared to his scoring. The way he uses his length, his athleticism, he can hang in the air and find his guys. So, but they're going to take on North Laurel, and they're tough with Reese Davison and in that squad. So I think that Breathitt's playing on house money here. They may sneak by through this one, but I have North Laurel on this matchup.
Austin, like you said, he can jump out of the gym. The kid can absolutely fly. Coach Honeycutt, he came over from the girls when he was at Knott County. He and I know each other. In the job that he has done, like you said, for them to get past Hazard, which Hazard all year long, they were top 5 and was making an incredible run. So Breathitt's got to be able to play. North Laurel, we actually seen them play Pineville over at Clay County. We were getting ready to play Knox Central on one night or one afternoon, and we got there early and got to see North Laurel. Of course, Coach Valentine, he has 11 region ties when he was at LCA, and they're put together. They can play. So definitely North Laurel, I would give the edge on that one for this game, just because on top of Reese, they've got some kids who can play, and Coach Valentine does an incredible job there.
Yeah, I definitely remember Coach Valentine over at LCA. That's back, I don't know, 18 years ago maybe. But next matchup,
probably so.
We got Lawrence County taking on Montgomery County. Lawrence County loses first round of the district and somehow makes it all the way through the 15th region. They've got Caden Harris, they've got Gunnar Woods, and they got KJ Johnson, 3 nice guards. And they're going to take on Montgomery County. I don't know much about this team, Coach, but I do know they took out GRC in the region finals, and they're scoring points. So, honestly, I think I'm going to take Montgomery County here, but like I said, Lawrence County has put on a heck of a run. You know much about these two?
Lawrence County, they come from that power region, isn't it? Where they do every team go to the regional tournament. I believe they do their tournament a little different.
Yeah, the 15th region to play in.
Yeah, it's a little different the way they run their regional tournament. Which definitely, if you're at Rupp, you can play. There's no doubt about it. He's got hard-nosed kids. Jason Mays is at Montgomery County. I've known Coach Mays for years from his time here at Georgetown College. He's got one of the Reed brothers eligible the last couple of weeks of the season, and they have turned that team around. Coach Mays, he runs a college system. They're absolutely on fire right now, and they beat GRC, which I thought GRC is one of the top. Again, they're one of the top teams in the state year in year out with Coach Cook, and the way that game went down, I've watched film. It was an incredible win for Mount Sterling, that community. So Montgomery County is coming in with a lot of energy right now, so they're going to be hard to handle, especially in this first game.
Yeah, definitely GRC was my favorite to come out of that region with Coach Cook. Then we have Davis County versus Great Crossing. We've spoke about Great Crossing, which they're my pick here, but I haven't really got to see Davis County play. I think that's a Western Kentucky team. Have you got to see them play, Coach?
We've not seen them play, but we know, they beat Butler County, which had Ty Price, and we've communicated with Butler County quite a bit throughout the season with mutual friendships there. So this Davis County team, they've had a great year. It's not like they've just come out of nowhere. They've had a great season. They've won some big games. But the kicker is they're running into a buzzsaw against Great Crossing. We've seen them. We've watched them. They're right here in our own community, and I'm telling you, they can flat out play. So Davies County, it's a great honor for them to be here, but they're running into probably one of the top teams in the country right now.
Yeah, most definitely. I think Great Crossing, they're actually my second favorite to win. They probably will win it. And then the last first-round matchup, we have Henderson County versus Cooper. Now, Henderson County has the Cooper Davenport kid, the walk on at Sanford. And they also have a 6'6" kid, Elijah Suggs. I think he has like 127 blocks on the season, shooting 70% from the field. Just an amazing shot blocker, rim runner. Again, this is a heck of a first round matchup. I'm kind of leaning towards Henderson County, but what's your pick, Coach?
Henderson County comes in with a lot of history with their girls and boys programs. Not familiar. I've not seen the boys play this year during the regular season. We actually seen them during the summer. We seen them in a camp, and I was just a fan during that time. But they're coming into a team that's got a lot going on. Coach Sully at Cooper, his teams are prepared. His teams are physical. His teams play hard. And again, that's coming out of that ninth region. You come out of that ninth region, you can play Northern Kentucky. So definitely Henderson and Cooper could be one of your better games of the state tournament. And that's the last game on that, Thursday night. So it's definitely that game right there will be one of the games to keep an eye on, because no matter who wins that, you're looking at probably great crossings in that second game. So it's going to be we'll see what's left over and get ready for that next game.
Yeah, with the rumblings about Coach Sullivan, they're wanting him out. All Coach Sullivan has ever done for this program is win, Coach. I really don't know the specifics. I really don't want to know the specifics, but it has to be tough for a coach that's winning, helping the program. The kids want the coach, but yet either administrative, parents, somebody's trying to push him out the door. That has to be very hard for Coach Sullivan and his kids. I'm sure that's going to play a little bit into this Sweet 16, but him trying to get pushed out, administrative, and all he's ever done is win. So that's kind of I call it a slap to the face, but I wish him the best of luck. And like you said, whoever wins this matchup is going to get great crossing. So tough second round matchup. Switching gears, you're also an AAU coach with the Kentucky Future Elite. It's now a Puma shoe circuit with the next pro, right?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Tell everyone the difference between coaching high school basketball and AAU basketball. The specifics as far as where you play, how you play, who you play, when you play.
I really for years and years was not on board with AAU. And I talk to people even now. I call it a necessary evil because I get it. Recruiting has changed for our kids, and AAU has changed. Now you're talking about all your shoe circuits, and this is our first year with Puma. To be honest with you, we're very blessed. Chris Evans, who's the director of Kentucky Future Elite, who's head coach at Model as well. He allows us to work in his organization. Tara and I have the 27s, and I want to say we've expanded out, and we have at least 4 or 5 other.
Oh, no. What happened? You just straight bounced on me. Uh-oh.
I'm here.
I don't know what happened, but you're back.
I'm here.
So you were talking about you and Tara? I was like, oh, no.
We actually, when we joined Chris, I told Chris, I said, my philosophy of this, I just want to coach. I would love if someone else handled the financials, the travel, our scheduling. And I would love more than anything just to show up and coach and work with our team. And he has allowed us to do that. And we're so appreciative that Coach Evans has allowed us to be a part of his organization. As far as the actual play of the game, you're going to play. There's not a lot of preparation. We'll have about 3 or 4 practices in. We'll have maybe 1 or 2 very simplistic sets in case we have to run it. But as far as the game, this is about the kids. This is about putting them in positions to be successful, putting them in positions to play against really good competition. and hopefully in front of some college coaches or in front of people who at least, not if it's only college coaches, but maybe if it's sports writers to get these kids out. This is obviously we want to be competitive, but we lose a game at Scott County, we go home and it bothers us. We go home, we watch film, we talk about, as far as when I say that, so I'm talking about Terry and I, our staff. We really focus on, oh my gosh, what we got to do. AAU, it's about, here's what we're going to do. Let's go do it. Let's go do it to the best of our ability and see what happens. We'll play. Puma is our first year for Puma. It looks like right now we're playing 7 weekends from starting in April, and then we'll finish in July. But it's a chance. There's a lot of travel involved this year's team, which is good because this is what the kids, we want them to be a part of. We've got 8 kids on our roster from all over the area, from Central Kentucky area. And we're excited about just getting those kids out and playing together. We have 8 kids on our roster, those 8 families. That's a lot of traveling. That's a lot of time together. So it's a big deal for those kids and those families. Tara and I use some of it as vacation time as well. We'll get there a couple of days early or maybe stay a couple of days late at a tournament spot. But, the game, the ball is going to bounce. It's a Spalding basketball that we have to use, just like Kentucky. And so the ball is going to bounce. We're going to play. We're going to be competitive, and then that we're going to find some games where we're not going to be as competitive as we think we should be. But it's about the kids. 8-man roster. Everybody's going to play. That's a little different. High school, I can't guarantee, if you're going to play a 5 or if you're going to play 6 that night. But 8-man roster, I've told the parents and I'll tell the players, everybody's going to play. Obviously we get in a position to win a game. We're going to coach to win. But at the same time, we want these kids to be able to be put in positions so they can showcase themselves. This is not about the coaches. This is not about anything other than let's get these kids out. Let's get them seen. Let's work with them as best we can because, I'm not their high school coach. I'm not going to tell them, hey, this is the way you need to be doing things because it might be different than their high school coach. We're going to treat them good. We're going to demand our kids play hard because, that's something that's very key, especially when, for that next level. You want to play at that next level, you better have a motor and you better find that motor, and that motor better be there every day. That on and off switch don't work. It sure don't work in high school. It sure don't work in college. In high school, sometimes you're that much better. You can get away with it, but in college, it don't work that way. So definitely a philosophy change as far as, the preparation is light. Sometimes we'll watch a team and say, hey, heads up, this kid can play. He's going to do this or do that. But more importantly, this is just rolling that ball out there and putting them in position to be successful.
I've never I've coached AAU a few games, but I don't have my own program. How do you go about shaping a roster for your AAU team?
I'll be honest with you, that goes a lot back to with Chris and what we talked about. We do carry over the same philosophy from what we do in high school to our AAU team. We want to get up as many shots as we can. We will press. Now again, depending on who we play is depending on how much we press. But we try to build a roster of kids who can play this style. The kids we got on the roster this year, they can all run. They can all get up down the court. They can all shoot the 3. So we're definitely excited where we're at. But I think, if you build a roster and a team that can't run or a team that's not built to get up and down and spread the floor, it can be difficult. But, Chris has allowed us, and he's done a lot of work with the roster. Getting kids to come in, and we are excited. We practiced on Friday night, and this is definitely one of our better skilled teams we've had in coaching AAU, and excited to see what's on the roster, and excited to see what's next for Puma, and kind of see where we're going with this.
With those limited practices, what do you work on? Just basics of your, what you want to do with your press, just where the kids need to be, just put them in position. Is that what you do during those 3 or 4 practices you have?
To be honest with you, we do a lot of skill work. We'll do a lot of skill work. We'll put them in, we'll put them in a spread formation. We'll talk about some tendencies that we like to run. We'll talk about some look fors. When a kid turns their head, we're going to try to backdoor it. When a kid comes off a pick and roll, we're going to try to read how they're playing the pick and roll, and just play ball. Again, it goes back to we're not going to change what they do. I don't want to change what they do because their high school coach is where I want them to pay attention to. But if we can just give them one or two little tips to help them be more successful, we like to do that, because some kids come from an all zone background. We'll zone press some, we'll man press some. So it's for some, it's going to be a little bit learning curve than others. But at the same time, there's no pressure on these kids. Let's just go play. If you make a mistake, it's okay. The way we coach AAU is if you miss 5 in a row and you're open on 6, you need to shoot the ball because you're bound to make it. We don't want our kids looking over their shoulder thinking, well, I made a mistake, I'm coming out. We don't coach it like that. High school, sometimes you got to have a short leash, as you say, and the errors and room for error is smaller. But AAU, it's about giving these kids freedom. We tell them, you're on this roster because you're talented. So we're not judging your talent. It just sometimes it just takes a little bit longer to learn how to play together. And the advantage is we do play 5 weekends in a row, which will be tough. But I think we'll learn to play each other because each one of our kids have strengths, and when they start figuring it out on their own, they'll be able to play a little bit better on the court. Anything we run offensively, we'll probably draw up in the huddle and say go play, and if they run it right, great. If they don't, we'll say we'll try it next time. But I'm excited. It is totally different than school ball. It's a lot less stress on the coaches because from 1 to 8, you're pretty daggone talented in AAU right now. High school, when you go to the bench, sometimes you lose a little bit, and sometimes you got players who are learning to play. But AAU, the kids we got right now from 1 to 8, they can all play.
Yeah, I've been scouting since 2014, 2015. In 2015, we had just a few circuit teams here in Kentucky, and a lot of our top kids were going over to like Indiana Elite, one of the teams from Memphis down there. I think they were Adidas at the time. But, this year, I think our kids have really progressed a lot because you guys are a Puma circuit, and these new other programs, they're either Puma or Adidas 3 SSB. But talking about AAU, it is a two-headed monster. It can create negative tendencies in some players. But as me and you both know, that's where the college coaches, scouts, writers, that's where they're going to be in one spot. So that gives the kids a chance to get their name in any kind of article, video, clip. And that's huge for these kids, not only for recruiting, but for confidence-wise for the rest of that weekend, for the weekend after, or, going into their high school season. So I believe, or in my opinion, 70 to 70% of the recruiting is going on during AAU. High school will help, back up what they do in AAU ball, but that's where your writers are going to be, your coaches are going to be. It's just a bigger spot, a bigger opportunity to show what you have. And another big thing about AAU basketball is it gets you out of your comfort zone. What can you do outside of your comfort zone? So a lot of parents don't like AAU basketball, but I think that's where the bread is buttered. I know that's where the bread is buttered. So what do you think about getting outside of your comfort zone, playing AAU basketball?
What you said is 100% correct. I mean, it's that's where scouting and recruiting has changed. I think over the last, like I said, I've been in it 28 years. It has changed because from a college standpoint, coach standpoint, from a writer, you can go to one building or one town and see 500 kids in one setting. That's just an absolute better situation. It's also you're seeing them play the competition that can also play. You're not seeing teams who are you hesitate to say when a kid is that much better than another kid, they're not going to get better. But when they're playing competition who is in a lot of times they're stronger, quicker, bigger, faster, whatever you want to say. It challenges them. And we have the philosophy is you don't grow unless you're pushed outside your comfort zone. And you have to be pushed because then you learn what you need to work on, as well as you learn how to handle struggles. Because, a lot of these kids don't struggle in high school. They don't have to struggle in practice. They're the best player. A lot of times when you're the best player, sometimes you can settle and you can get away with it. And most AAU games, there's still certain teams that probably aren't as strong, and they're just trying to get those kids with the ball in their hands. But you're going to see good competition. You're going to see programs that are traditionally strong. You're going to see some programs. A lot of our, we'll play a lot of teams out of Indiana, and they'll talk about they practice 3 and 4 times a week, and that's a lot of practice for an AAU team. And they're probably going to be a little bit smoother with their execution than we will be with 3 practices total. But that's where our kids have to learn how to adapt and play on the fly. So I agree with you 100%. To get better, you got to play good competition. To get better, you've got to be pushed. To get better, there's an occasional time you're going to have to fail, because if you don't ever fail, you're going to have a hard time pushing yourself to that next level to figure out where you need to be. And if the first time that you have adversity is in college, that's why that transfer portal gets a little bit larger every year.
Yeah, and scouting it's way more efficient. But I want to jump over to AAU ball. You were talking about some of the kids here in Kentucky. They're the best athlete or have the size. Talk about how much being efficient on the court matters to college coaches. You don't get 30 shots a game. You don't get 20 shots a game. Every shot you take at the next level, it's going to be a shot that you should take. It's not a shot that you need to take. It's a shot that you should take.
I think that goes back to, playing without the ball. I know Billy Donovan, years ago, he talked about, because you think about AAU, you think about your best player in your team, you think about some of the best players in the state. In high school, they're throwing up a lot of big numbers. They're averaging a lot of points per game, as well as a lot of shots attempted per game. They're taking the majority of their shots. AAU, the other 4 players out there on the court are most of the time in the same shape you are. They're some of the best players on the team. And we stress to our kids, high school and AAU, that motor that college coaches are looking for. Number one, playing as hard as you can play for as long as you can while the time you're on the court. Then we're also talking about, what are you doing when you don't have the ball in your hands? What are you doing defensively? What are you doing when you go to the bench? There's so many things there that our kids, we talk about constantly. Everyone, and I get it. You go to ESPN, the first thing they talk about is who had 30 points. The first thing they talk about is who, had 8 threes. And that is great. When that's your shot and you knock that shot down, that is incredible. But, what happens when you don't hit that shot? Do you stand and pout? Do you go get the rebound? Do you not take the next shot? Those are all growing pains that, high school kids and college kids, both. And I'll even say some adults still have to deal with, because there's so much more that goes into the game other than dribbling the ball up, and dribble. I call it they just kill the game with too much dribbling. And then they finally take a bad shot. College coaches don't want to see that. Riders don't want to see that. They want to see how you get other kids involved. They want to see how, when it comes time and you have that open shot and you make it, great. If you don't, how do you react? Because again, if you're there, you're probably a pretty good player. They're looking for those intangibles that are going to help them and their team. If you're a bad apple and you walk off the court, we stress that to our kids in high school. If you walk off the court, if you're being subbed in, somebody's watching that. If you go over and throw I call a little tantrum on the bench because you didn't get the ball that you thought you were going to get, or you didn't get a call, or you did get a bad call. I mean, there's a lot goes into basketball. There's a lot that goes because, you have the ball in your hands less than 5% of a game. I believe I've heard Billy Donovan speak. So what are you doing the other 95%? How are you helping your team win? Are you coachable? That's a huge one. And, in AAU, you see a lot. You see a lot from the sidelines. You see a lot on the court. That's from the coaches, the parents, the players, officials. You get to see a lot. So definitely an opportunity for a kid to grow. And we as coaches, an opportunity for us to just work with these kids and just give them a little advice about, hey, next time let's try this. And I think that's one of the reasons why I do love AAU. These kids, they don't know me. They just know that we like to have fun. We like to play a fun style, and we give them a lot of freedom. And we keep up with them during the regular season. And I think that means a lot because, that's a relationship that they get to see. And, our Colton now, from the camps he's been to and from the AAU teams, those are friendships also that he is still keeping. He's still keeping up with those kids, and some of them went on to have huge, years in prep school or in high school. And so, again, it's AAU is definitely an opportunity for kids to grow and have some fun.
Yeah, and like you said, I think there's a myth. I watch a ton of film. Anybody can put together a 2 to 4 minute highlight video, coach, but I don't watch highlight videos. I might watch a highlight video to spark my interest in that kid, but I want it, like you just said, without the ball. What are you doing defensively? What are you doing when you miss your shot? What are you doing on the bench? Are you cheering your guys on? And another
Yep.
big thing I look for is, what are you doing in the clutch moment? What are you doing in the clutch
Yep.
moment? Are you there? You may not hit the shot, but are you going to take the shot? So,
Yep.
you said it just like you said, and a lot of our kids don't know how to work off the ball because they've always been the best player for their team to have the ball in their hand. And AAU basketball, just like I said, out of your comfort zone, that right there can help develop those kids, without the basketball.
Yep.
But moving forward, you're talking about your son Colton. He's a sophomore, going to be a junior. Can you just talk about like some of the recruiting angles that some people have put on him, how social media maybe affects his recruitment or, his confidence or, his, I guess, in his ability to play at the next level?
In coaching, we've had kids, sign with the University of North Carolina. We've had kids. We've had kids, sign with, Georgetown College. We've had kids at all levels sign, and in the recruiting process, you talk to those kids, and you talk to those parents, and then all of a sudden, when it becomes your own, then you also begin looking at things a little bit different. So this has definitely been a growing experience for us. Our biggest deal is we want him to understand that everything he gets is about hard work. Everything that that he has had the opportunity to go is based on hard work. Even at 51, I'm 51 right now, and when we do our college signings at school, I always introduce it as it's great to be wanted. And no matter if you're 51 or if you're a 16-year-old kid, it's great to be wanted. Everybody wants to be. It's human nature, and so yes, the recruiting process. When anyone reaches out, it also makes you feel good, but at the same time, we try to keep him grounded in the fact that today's a new day. We've got to get to work. We've got to get in the gym, and this is not parent driven. This is a kid that drives himself. As far as he's the one who sets his schedule up. Being his coach, I have to be very careful because my number one title is dad. I'm dad. That's where I want to be. This is mom and dad. Mom and dad have had their college time. Tara just got inducted into the Estill County Hall of Fame. She was already 10th Region Hall of Fame. I've already went through college. I've played in national tournament and state tournament. This is mom and dad. It just happens to be mom and dad are the coaches. So that's a huge issue with us. We really, and it's been different this year because he had a decent year, but we struggled as a team. So there's where we've always stressed, you played, X amount, or you played this way or that way. However, as a team, we've got to do this. And so, recruiting process with him and, his progress is based on work, and it's based on getting in the gym. You don't become a better shooter on the couch. You don't become a shooter unless you shoot. You don't get stronger unless you're in the weight room. And so there's where we're at with him, and also keeping him in the mindset of let's enjoy every day. We don't know what the future holds. We get up, we go to church. We're a family of faith, and we just thank the good Lord every day that He's healthy, and we have the opportunity to go to the gym and work, and day by day we'll see what happens, and his progress will be based on him staying healthy and staying in the gym and learning how to play, and also those experiences outside of us, because that's why when we go to camp, we drop him off. If he goes to a camp, mom and dad don't go in. We make sure he's paid, and we go on a date and go watch a movie. But that's also the opportunity. We're proud of him. But a lot of work to be done, and he's young, he's growing. Still don't understand why that shot changes sometimes, but when you grow, your shot's going to change. And so the way you fix it is you get in the gym. And so we are proud of that. And, his grades, we talk about if a college coach reaches out to you at any level, more than likely they think you can play a little bit. But their next question to me as an athletic director and assistant principal is, what's their grades? What's their behavior? And so we're proud of the accomplishments that all of our kids make in the classroom, because there's a very small percentage of our kids that are going to go to play college, and they've got to be ready with those study skills and to be able to get it done in the classroom, because we want them all to go to college, but they're just all not going to play. And he's young. We'll see what happens. And we'll just kind of go day by day.
Can you kind of speak about? I mean, I know how much dedication that these athletes have to put in, but like I said with Colton, can you kind of talk about the dedication he has towards basketball, towards his grades? Like, what's some of the things he may miss out on because he's trying to get better on the court or in the classroom?
That's something that with every kid's different. We do stress getting it done in the classroom. He takes an AP schedule where he has not all AP classes, but several of his classes are advanced placement, because we want him pushed not only in the classroom but on the court. Right now we're in the off season, and he's working out 6 days a week, and we only work him out once during that time. Obviously we're in the gym, we open the gym up and get everything out, but there's only one of those days that we actually physically work him out on the court, because he does a lot of it. He has his own written workouts. Our strength trainer, who worked with our high school team, he works him out. So he's getting that on the court and off the court workouts in on his own. We'll go in at 6 o'clock in the morning before school, because once school starts, we've got 1,500 kids on campus. Even after school, that gym's not clear. There's somebody in the gym. There's someone, it may be tennis, it may be volleyball, it may be some of the other guys coming in to hang out. He likes that quiet time where he just gets in the gym, where it's just him and the ball. So he'll come in early in the morning, twice a week, and work out before we go after school on the other days of the week in the weight room. But he will obviously, he has friends. He loves. He thinks he's a golfer now. He thinks he's in the golf. And that's something that none of us can do. Our whole family, we can't. All we can do is hit a ball. We have no idea where it goes, but we'll go on the golf course some. But his main focus right now is basketball. He wants to have the opportunity to play at some level after high school. And, he's today we went car shopping. He just turned 16. So we went car shopping. And, we've talked about, how to handle this and how we're going to do this. And, and his words are, Dad, I just want a car so I can drive myself to the gym. And that right now, obviously as a coach or as a dad, you're like, yeah, that's great. But, there's going to come a little girl along someday and he's going to, hopefully be able to handle, that part of it as well as the grades and being on the court. So he's a good kid. He got baptized about a month ago. And, I believe that right there, that meant more to me than any point that he could ever score, him giving his life to the good Lord. And, it's definitely a blessing.
Yeah, you're talking about, the baptism. Faith is a huge part of my life, as it is your guys' life. And I really wanted to touch on that because the good Lord has helped me turn my life around from somebody that you probably didn't want to be around to somebody, I try to help others as much as I can. How much is faith incorporated and instilled in your everyday life, your kid's life, your wife's life, or your family's life?
I'm an only child. I grew up in Corbin. Mom and dad still live in Corbin. And I grew up in church. I grew up playing guitar. And, as I got older, I understood what mom and dad were telling me. I understood, about how being a parent. I understood about, putting the good Lord in our lives, in our family. And Tara and I, we have been just incredibly blessed. Her family, we go to church with them occasionally. And, our church here in Georgetown, you got to be careful, especially in a public school, how you handle it. But we do put an emphasis on, we invite our kids to church. Our freshman coach this year was our youth pastor, who played at Asbury. I mean, just an incredible man of faith. And not only was he good for our kids, he was good for us because it's tough. Coaching is tough. Being a parent's tough. Being an assistant principal is tough. And knowing how blessed we have been and the good Lord has blessed us just, from every day of our life, Tara and I get to do what we do together. Out of college, we met at Union College and to do what we do together, with the main focus and the foundation of what we do is from the good Lord who has blessed us so much. It's an incredible moment that we've tried to instill in our son. And he's not perfect. We're not perfect by no means. But we're definitely, we're in a situation where the good Lord, we do nothing without giving him thanks. We pray every night. I still call home every night, talk to mom and dad. If it's just 2 minutes, I call them, if we got beat by 30, I'll call them and say, hey, it was a rough night. We'll talk to you tomorrow. But it's because of them and that foundation that they instilled in myself. We want to carry that on with our son, definitely. And those around us. TD Jakes, we watch the video and he talks, it takes courage to be different. And definitely there's a lot of times we kind of get left out of some other activities because we don't always go down that road that some do. And there's nothing wrong with that. We still have those good friends, but we've been blessed and it takes courage to be different sometimes. And that's what we tell Colton. Sometimes, if you're not in that crowd, it's okay, but continue to pray and thank the good Lord for what you do have.
Well, Coach, I appreciate you coming on with me today. I can't wait to see what Colton does this summer. You guys with Kentucky Future Elite. I'm sure I'll catch you somewhere in a gym. But have a